In this video, we're going to go over some basic drum information. The most common questions you're going to get asked about drums themselves tend to be about what the drum is made out of, how it's constructed, and how many pieces, what the setup and configuration is, essentially what the drum kit comes with or does not come with. Drums are made of plywood. It's going to be multiple plies of wood laminated together. Thinner drums tend to sound warmer, but they project less. Less expensive drums tend to be quite thick because they're made of luan, which is kind of an inexpensive, soft plywood that has very thick plies because that's how they keep the strength up. More intermediate or higher end drums tend to be made of multiple plies of hardwood. Common woods would include maple, birch, mahogany, walnut, oak. Those are all pretty common woods for a drum kit to be made out of once you get into the intermediate or upper end of drums. And you know, some exotic kits are made of all kinds of crazy woods. Most drum kits come in a standard 4 or 5 piece configuration. That's going to be bass drum, rack tom or toms, a floor tom, and a snare. Mid to high priced kits usually come as a shell pack, which is just the shells themselves, while entry level and some intermediate kits usually come as a complete setup, which includes hardware and cymbals as well. Cymbals really can be broken down into 2 different categories. You've got cast cymbals and sheet stamped cymbals. Sheet cymbals are preformed discs that they come cut from a sheet of metal. They have kind of a uniform thickness. Then they go on a machine that hammers and shapes the discs. It kind of loosens them up, gives the plate its tone. The sheet cymbals tend to be great for entry-level cymbals because they're inexpensive to produce. They're a pretty good value. Cast cymbals typically are more expensive to produce. They're individually poured and cast from raw molten metal. Castings are sorted by weight depending on the cymbal model that's being produced. Castings are then put through a complex sequence of heating, rolling, shaping, hammering, and lathing techniques to give each specific cymbal its particular characteristics and qualities and sounds. Drumheads are also made in plies that will be varying numbers of layers of mylar. A single ply is the most commonly used drum head. These heads are made from a single sheet of mylar, usually comes in 7, 7.5, or 10 mil thicknesses. The thinner the head, the more overtones and ring in the high end, what you might call brightness would be heard, while the sustain will decrease. Single ply heads are generally very sensitive, but they're the least durable of the batter heads. They're going to be really great for lighter playing styles, jazz, light rock, but they can produce a big boomy sound for louder, more ambient situations. Some single ply examples are going to be things like the Remo Ambassador, the Evans G1. Double ply heads, they consist of 2 layers of mylar, generally 2 7 mil plies, but some models are made with different thicknesses to produce different tones. In general, double ply heads have a deeper and more controlled sound with fewer overtones, a more defined attack, shorter sustain, fatter, kind of punchy sound than a single ply head. Durability is also increased by adding the extra plies. Double ply heads are preferred in heavier, louder music styles, generally speaking. Their pronounced attack makes them a great choice for players needing a more articulate sound. Some examples of double ply heads are going to be the Evans G2, the Remo Emperor, things like that. Drumheads usually come in either a coated or an uncoated finish. There are many different types of coatings that are used on drumheads. Some models are sprayed with a translucent coating, some are sprayed solid black or white, and some are sprayed or etched with a texture that creates a textured surface. Simple physics applies here. As you add mass to something that's supposed to vibrate, a dampening effect occurs. So non-coated heads will produce a brighter, less controlled sound, and they will have more attack. Coated heads tend to have a warmer tone when compared side by side with non-coated heads, even when tuned to the exact same pitch. Resonant heads are the heads that go on the bottom of a drum. They control the movement of air that's set into motion when the batter head is struck. One question you will get asked a lot is questions about drum sticks. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of different varieties of drumsticks, but they all have a few characteristics that they share. Drumstick length, the weight and diameter of the stick, and then the series or size of the stick. The length of a drumstick generally runs from anywhere between 15 to 17.5 inches. Some drummers prefer smaller sticks and others use large ones. Again, it all depends on the size of your hands and what feels right to you. The weight and diameter of a stick is usually indicated by a number and letter respectively. For example, 7A, 2B, 5A. The higher the number, the lighter the stick. Diameter-wise, a 5B stick is thicker or larger in diameter than a 5A stick. Drumsticks also come with either a wood tip or a nylon tip. Nylon drumstick tips are great for cymbals. They are very bright and crisp on cymbals. They're a little more durable than a wooden tip. They work very well for electronic drum kits, but far and away wood tips are the most popular for regular drum kit playing.